All right, so it's Q&A time with Adam from AA Motorworks. I guess there's been a lot of questions and comments and concerns on some of the parts that we've chosen for Clint's build. So question one, what is the difference between a 8 centimeter and 10 centimeter hot side? To put it in layman's terms, volume, the actual physical size of the turbine housing, the hot side, is bigger. If you want to put that in terms of spool, in top end, the 8 centimeter is going to spool faster because there's less volume to fill with exhaust gas. So yeah, it's gonna choke up a little bit more on the higher RPMs versus the 10 centimeter, which is going to spool slower, but it's going to carry the power in the top end a lot farther because of the extra volume and keeping the wheel spinning instead of choking up and causing flow restriction. Sleeve block versus closed deck. Yeah, this is an ongoing debate, and every engine builder, company, forum guru, or just your average know-it-all is going to have their own opinion. My opinion, there's benefits to both. If you could do both, which is an expensive ordeal, would be worth it, is to close deck it and sleeve it if you're really pushing the envelope. I chose to suggest sleeved for Clint for a few reasons. First off, I have personal experience with sleeve blocks. I have had a valve drop on a sleeve block of mine on track, and the valve ate up the cylinder head completely, but the sleeve took a hell of a beating without any damage besides maybe just a quick overbore to the next size up on the piston, and boom, the scratch is gone. Versus a closed deck, if you were to buy a closed deck without sleeves, that sleeve would be trashed, and you would have to start from square one with a new block. Versus my block, I just had to overboard and we're good. Furthermore, I like sleeves due to they don't ovalize like a stock sleeve does. A stock sleeve will lose its roundness if you were to check the run out on the with a dial bore gauge. You'd see that it would taper or it would fluctuate. I've seen it anywhere from 1 to 5 thousandths depending on how hard that motor was pushed. Aftermarket sleeve, like a Darton, it's a ductile iron. It's tough as nails, literally. It's probably made out of the same stuff as nails, and it's the way to go, in my opinion. And I think for Clint's application, it's a street-driven car. The closed deck also blocks off a lot of coolant passages from the head to the block. That's an argument to be had with whoever does the closed decking. They're going to say if you run the right head gasket, yeah, you're going to have adequate flow. My opinion is sleeving a STI, semi-closed deck, it's going to be fine. You're going to have the rigidity from an aftermarket sleeve, and it's going to stay in place without any issues with cracking on the top of the sleeves. Like, that's the reason why they closed deck them, is because this top of the sleeves crack when you push the envelope. Take a sip here. Yeah, it's an argument that'll go on and on, and there's benefits to both. I understand the reason why they close decking it. It provides rigidity to the top of the cylinder and the sleeve, but in my opinion, and furthermore, I like to use RED, race engine development, for the sleeving process, because they actually, there's an argument of the sleeve dropping, and that is completely true. Sleeves can drop. What RED has figured out is they have a machine that actually stress relieves the block after the stock sleeve is machined out. Before pressing in the new sleeve, it goes into a machine where it vibrates it at a high frequency and stress relieves the aluminum, which has under development and under testing under many motors, it has alleviated the sleeve dropping occurrence. So that's that. I'm done talking about sleeve and closed deck. What is the break-in period for the motor on the dyno? That's the break-in period. No, just kidding. If you're doing upgraded camshafts and they're brand new, you have to run them in for 20 minutes at 2,000, 2,500 RPM, high zinc, phosphorus, oil. That way, it'll further harden the camshaft and it won't wear. You won't get abnormal wear on the lobes. And then you immediately drain the oil and put some more break-in oil in there with a fresh filter, and then you can go like 500. That's what I like to do. But breaking in the motor, like seating the rings and all that stuff, if you can get it on the dyno ASAP, do it. If not, get a good base tune by your tuner and drive it around, vary the RPMs, do a lot of engine braking to create vacuum and seat the rings. Usually the rings seat within 100 miles, give or take. Do it on the dyno with boost and vacuum and all that good stuff on the dyno, you break in that motor perfectly. As long as it's tuned correctly and you got the fueling right and nothing's going wrong. And why no external wastegate? Because it's not needed. If you have an aftermarket turbo, especially with a Blausch or FP, steam speed, whatever, they design their turbos with the right actuators and the proper sized internal wastegate. There's no obnoxious noise from an external wastegate, unless you plumb it back in to the downpipe. Boost control is perfectly fine unless you're trying to press like 30 pounds, then maybe you want an external wastegate. But if you want 25, 26 pounds, an internal wastegate can do it with the proper actuator and the proper tuning, 3-port, EBCS, manual boost controller, what have you. Obviously, if you're like on a rotated setup, it's like a Garrett or like an EFR, well, even EFRs are internally wastegated if you want. You don't need to have you have no choice but to have a wastegate, external wastegate. So that's the reason why. Clint will make plenty of power with internal wastegate, and you guys will see. What can the block itself hold up to? Given the rods and the crank and the pistons and the sleeves we're going with, I don't see a reason why Clint's block wouldn't hold over 600 horsepower. I'll put money on it. Chris Winters asked, why did you go with the Aem Fuel Pump over the DW300C? Well, Aem flows 320 and it's made for E85. It's proven to be more reliable. That can be argued, but Travis from Snail. What's up, Travis? Cheers. Have a shot of Crown for me. He likes the Aem pump, and he yells at me if I don't put an Aem pump in people's cars. So that's another reason. Anything else you think we should cover? Some loophole questions. We're going to talk about the radiator here very soon, the next segment. But people were wondering why to go with that radiator. And I'll get into that. But I want to let you know that there's a reason why that oil cooler combo is badass. Radiator oil cooler combo, and you will see track temps, and I'm sure you will see data down the road and prove that that combo is clean, efficient, and it'll work for Clint. May not work for you if you want it separate, but we decided to do it as a combo. Next question. Thoughts on how much power it will make on pump gas versus E85. Given that we're going to go with an FP green with a 10 centimeter, which is kind of an oddball turbo, it's not an off-the-shelf part. It's a custom order. I had a customer that we put one on. It's the last car I had tuned. It did 380 on 91 California crap pump gas. That is a good solid number that did not require much effort to get to. Blew me away. Travis was pretty impressed. So I'm thinking we're going to be at least 380, maybe 400 on pump. Clint's going to have bigger cams than that previous car. and more extensive port work on the cylinder heads. So I feel like it'll probably, I put my bet at least 375 on pump. E85, we're shooting for 450, so let's see. Oh yeah, I dropped off the block earlier today at the machine shop for the finish line hone on the main journals and the finish bore and hone on the cylinders. Last question for the Q&A. What do the extra main pins do that we used on Clint's block? The main extra dowel pins that were put on all the mains, one side of the case half has a male pins. The other side has receiver holes, female holes for the to join them. And basically, under high stress, under high RPM conditions, the mains can shuffle. Basically, you got one case half, you got the other case half. There's only pins factory caddy quarter from each other, and then you have the case bolts that hold it all together, obviously. But adding the extra pins on all of them keeps all the main journals locked in, so there's no shuffling under high RPM. That's exaggerated, obviously. It's going to be minute, but it keeps the mains true, it keeps the cylinders true, it keeps the block more rigid and intact. And it is proven on, if you looked on old school builds, a lot of old school V8 guys will put dowels or pins on all their main caps. They'll do girdles. This is kind of like a girdle, like a main girdle for a Subi, because the mains are the case halves. So there is no other way to do it than to pin it. So it's a real cost-effective, good way to keep your block together. Obviously, if you're not pushing the envelope, you don't need it. But we don't want to skip steps with Clint's. So, and that wraps up the Q&A for this portion of Clint's motor build saga. Bye.
We're just recording now, so whenever you want to start. I don't know which one. What do you want to start with, though? Small and work up to big, or big and work down to small?
Let's get the radiator out of the way so that we can just talk.
All right. Pick it up then.
You can hold it and sit down or something.
What's Big Bertha?
Big Bertha.
Boom. All right, all you.